delay from my laptop where I run the video station to my phone. So the phone is behind, but I don't know. The computer will show me live. The phone won't. But what's up, everybody? Hold on one second. Let me make an adjustment to my phone. Well, I guess I can't. There we go. Got to make it brighter. And so I just froze. Oh, no. All right, give me a second, guys. I shut down my phone, so let me reopen that link. I have a special guest today. It is not David Comics and Wrestling. He's sitting this one out. He has David Comics and Wrestling. He's sitting this one now out. My phone's on. Okay, let me turn that off. Sorry, guys. All right, let me get back in the studio on my phone so I can do this properly. And man alive, we're already off to a train wreck. This is like one of the early 97 Raws, like when Vince was figuring out exactly how he wanted the company to go. Let's see. Try this again. There we go. Hopefully, all right. Hopefully I've got it all figured out. But yeah, so David Comics and Wrestling is sitting this one out. And so just like Triple H, when he had to go and find new members of the D-Generation X, he had to turn to the Clique. So I'm turning to the Clique, and let's see how it goes. I know that he's probably a little bit nervous about how this is going to transpire. But ladies and gentlemen, and I wish I had his intro music to play, but today's tag team partner, none other than Bottom Tier Collector. What's up, dude?
What's going on?
Nothing, man. Yeah, I can. So I asked David. I was like, hey, I sent him the link. I was like, hey, man, just in case you can, because he did tell me he wasn't sure if he would be able to. So I sent him the link, and he had told me he wasn't going to be able to do it. I said, that's fine, because I had already sent you the link before I knew whether or not he was going to be able to do it. And yeah, so I could hear in your head, like, shoot, feeling froggy today. So what's up, man? How you doing?
Not much, man. A little nervous to be on there for the first time.
Oh, no, I told you it's easy. It's breezy, man. So and then this way, you can be a guest on someone else's, and then you can kind of see how StreamYard works. Of course, I don't know if you signed up for it, but it is free. You can sign up for StreamYard free, and then from there, figure out its little bells and whistles. I do want to highlight this before I jump to the chat. This is a channel I found today. It is Miss Nobody, and I highlighted it in my community tab, but I also put the two matches we're going to be talking about today. So it's kind of lower on the totem pole. 1 second. Can I say totem pole, or is that am I culturally appropriating something now?
I'm fine with it.
Let me see if I can share this screen. And there we go. So Miss Nobody, it's a channel I stumbled across this morning. 6 videos, I think, or 11 videos. I'm guessing it's counting shorts. 25 subs. And the reason I stumbled, or the reason I clicked onto the link, was this video here. There is 2 Superman books right there on that thumbnail. So I said, oh man, let me go check out this video. So the haul, pretty cool haul. The video quality of, I don't want to. You don't want to highlight somebody before you can tell them, hey, you may want to change these things about how you present your video before I put extra eyeballs on you. So presented the video very well, did their haul, knowledgeable on what she was showing and knowledgeable on what she had. And she kept saying we, so I'm guessing maybe a husband, boyfriend, partner, whatever, was part of that too. But cool books. So I am spotlighting that channel with this stream. I hope I put the link in the description, but I also put the link there in the chat. So hopefully you guys can go check that out. And
yeah, I'm gonna have to sub her up.
Yeah, man, appreciate that. All right, so let me hit up the chat before you and I begin our discussion. There's only 2 live right now, but I have been getting people watching the replays, so it's fantastic. David, Comics and Wrestling with the "Let's Do This" chant. Bottom tier, give me a second. I'm an old man about this setup. So for a while there, because I had tried to jump back to Instagram, and that's the reason why I accidentally closed the video, was to see if you were going to be able to do it, because I hadn't seen you in the studio yet. And I think the last thing you said is you didn't think you were going to be able to, or you didn't think your phone would let you, or what was that?
Oh, I was trying to go 16:9, but I don't know how to do that. So,
Oh, did you turn the whatever off on your screen
I
on your
guess
phone? Oh, okay.
I'll just
Let's
do the
see.
vertical for today.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, David, Comics and Wrestling with the BTC chant and the FBP chant. Larry was here. I'm not sure if he still is, but Green Machine. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, nice.
It's
What's
noon
up,
for
Larry?
me, but I know it's a morning for some individuals. Collectibles to Astonish, working and catching you on in the background. I appreciate that, Jonathan. And more BTC. And a CTA, Collectibles to Astonish. All right. David says, does that make me the Shawn Michaels to your Triple H? Oh, man. Me being a huge Shawn Michaels fan, I should have thought about that before I made that analogy. But I guess that does make Bottom Tier Collector the X-Pac of our trio. So,
Oh, X-Pac. All right.
yeah, I think he got the DX music that Mike Tyson got. If not, there's a little similarities between it. But so that would happen in '98. That was the night after WrestleMania 14, and I can remember telling my friends that X-Pac was going to be the next world champion because of the crowd reaction he got. Hindsight 2020, it was going to be Triple H. Of course, it was going to be Triple H. But the pop that X-Pac got that night, I was like, dude, there's no way he's not going to be. So, hey, Spine Ticks in the chat. What is up, man? I will say, and you messaged me too, Bottom Tier, after the Spine Ticks show. Well, I guess I didn't stick around to the end, but you told me, man, it was cool seeing you hang around with that group. And I told you, like, because of my work schedule, I'm normally asleep by the time that's running and rolling. And if I'm not asleep, I'm like in wrap up mode. So it was really, really cool to be able to hang out with that show, hang out with that chat. I think I even commented, like, even before the show started, there was a lot of love in that chat that night. So it was cool. So it's definitely something I want to continue to jump into. Of course, I say that hopefully I can stay awake. I called into work last night. I've got a little bit of issues with this ear. Classic fanboy prime. If I don't take care of myself as far as allergies, I will get some earaches and whatnot. And so I did call in last night. I felt the sharp pain in my ear. I wasn't full on dizzy, but I could feel it coming on. So I just said I called in, took ear drops, and proceeded to sleep for another 12 hours. So, well, my sleep combined was 12 hours. And I think I told you Friday I slept for 12 hours after taking baby boy to go see the Spider-Man movie. David, Comics and Wrestling just subbed up to Miss Nobody. Fantastic. Appreciate it. David, excited about Oogie Boogie Bash tickets, Spine Ticks. Lady Prime says, watching, but no volume. Okay, got you. Lady Prime's at work, so she's supporting the show. Spine Tick says, nice you mentioned that, David. I'm actually not going this year, so my mother-in-law can go with my wife, and I'll catch the dogs. Oh, watch the dogs. Apparently, I can't talk. And, Manny the Hobgoblin Collector in the chat. Good morning, Manny. Of course, it's afternoon for you, just as it is for me. David, I got you. That's a nice gesture. This will be my first year going if we can get tickets. So, fantastic. And let me just finish up the chat a little bit, and I'll get back to you, BTC. Oh, man, it was awesome. It was awesome, Spine Ticks. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been to Spine Ticks in like months. So it was nice to reconnect with a lot of people.
You mentioned that too, and you had mentioned to me before that you used to hang out with that crowd, kind of. I don't know if it was before you got your channel started or earlier in your comic book community and comic book collecting days. That was one of the shows you hit up a lot, and I remember you telling me that in an Instagram chat beforehand. Wellbore is in the chat. He's driving. Fantastic. And I think I hit everybody up. Appreciate it. Well, guys, I know you guys know him mainly from the from being in the chats, but let me see if I can. There you go. Let's let BTC tell you a little bit about himself. Bottom tier collector, tell you a little bit about himself before we jump into today's discussion. We have 2 matches we're going to discuss, but BTC, bottom tier collector, take it away. Just, let anybody who may not have ever seen your channel, give them an introduction and whatnot.
Well, of course, I'm bottom tier collector. I've been in the hobby for about 10 years now. I specialize in a specific character. Love Lobo. I consider myself like a character collector first over like keys or runs. And I just try to provide content that I'd like to watch, my sense of humor, bottom tier collecting, that sort of thing. I'm heavily influenced by Space Ghost. I put a lot of Space Ghost references in my show. And I don't know if anybody catches it, but yeah, that's me.
Fantastic, fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. Spine Takes catching Manny's video afterwards. Bottom tier collector, before we go away from highlighting you, David does want to say that that's an awesome Deadpool cover on your wall. If you guys are not familiar, there is a feud between bottom tier collector, David Comics and Wrestling, that revolves around whether or not Lobo is the Deadpool of the DC universe. Bottom tier collector gritting his teeth already because of just the mention of that. Well, let me put
Shazam would murder Deadpool.
What's that?
Shazam would kill Deadpool.
Let me see. It's not my favorite angle, but I'll do this. That way I can put you on equal screen time. Hopefully everything plays out all right. So you're not new to the world of wrestling because Monday stream is more of a wrestling-based stream. Although, show your comic book love, guys, in the chat. No problem with that. But so you're not new to the world of wrestling, but you had recently started a wrestling series on your channel that focused on, originally started with WrestleManias 1 through 10, right?
Yeah.
And from there, you kind of just branched off into watching a lot more 80s wrestling.
Yeah, I've gone a little crazy with it.
You got a little off topic, which is like what we do in the comic book community. In the community, I mean, yeah, I'm going to collect this, and this is what I'm focused on collecting. But then you notice this little subcategory you can go collect.
Oh yeah.
I would say that that's how you approached watching wrestling because you you started with this WrestleMania thing, and you would find characters the same way you do in comics that you like. You latched onto. I know Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was one of the early ones.
Oh yeah.
And so you went down that rabbit hole, and then Macho Man rabbit hole. So it's been pretty cool. Watching your WrestleMania review series, it's been cool to see a lot of those shows with new eyes because those are shows that I watched years ago when I was a kid. And I've got to say, those early WrestleManias boring. They were just not what I was into because I was already kind of programmed to how the current wrestling went. So like 92, 94 is when I grew in. That's like my base of wrestling. Although 1990s when I first started watching wrestling, WrestleMania 6. So anything earlier than that it was hard to watch. But then you go and watch it and you're like explaining so many things about it. And I'm like, wow, like I've got to go back and watch that show. And because you did that before this year's WrestleMania, Lady Prime was doing that. And so I had a new appreciation for a lot of these shows. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I'd never seen a WrestleMania before. It was time to see one.
Like you've never seen any?
I've seen like some of the greatest matches ever that have been in a WrestleMania, but I've never seen like a full WrestleMania start to end.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't know that. So then you watched all these old ones, but you did catch this year's WrestleMania.
Night one.
Okay, that's right. Night one. That's right, because now it's 2 nights. Okay, and I remember. I'm sure there was a little bit of culture shock going from all these 80s matches to that style versus the current style. Although you are familiar with the current style because you do watch, maybe not current style WWE, but you are an AEW fan, correct?
Yeah, so I knew what I was signing up for with Night One.
Thumbs up, thumbs down for Night One.
For what it is, for like the current style, what I knew I was signing up for, I would say it was pretty good. But if I'm comparing it to like old school wrestling or my preference of wrestling, probably a thumbs down.
Gotcha. Spine Tick says I'm only familiar with 80s WWF era, the golden era, if you will. Yeah. There was a lot of I don't want to say there's a lot of testosterone, although there probably was, but uh, a lot of anabolic help there in the 80s. But there was definitely a showmanship in the 80s that is lost nowadays. I think I don't think there's as many large characters. I don't think there's and this is an easy term to use. I don't think there's the rock stars nowadays that there were back then. And I don't know if part of that's because I'm not a kid anymore and these guys are larger than life, or if it's because the company promotes the company itself versus promoting these personalities.
I like that. It's more about WWE being larger than life than the characters. I didn't think about that.
And well, they say nowadays WrestleMania sells out on its own. Everybody buys tickets to go to WrestleMania. It's not for a specific match. It's not for a specific wrestler. Back in the 80s, you could have said WrestleMania sold back off the back of Hulk Hogan. I guess nowadays WrestleMania itself has become its own brand, its own thing that the pay-per-views sell out themselves. It's why I dislike when a wrestler says, well, or when people say about certain wrestlers, oh, well, they drew this many people to a show. Because I don't go just to see one match. Although I have bought WrestleMania tickets because one match was announced. That was when Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker had their rematch in Arizona. So I was like, okay, we're going. But I didn't pay for just one match. I paid for a card top to bottom. And so I do think that, it's more about the brand now, like you said, versus, hey, no one is, maybe they don't allow superstardom to happen because Hulk Hogan went to WCW in the mid 90s. And so like, they don't want it to bite their hand, I guess.
Maybe so. You were at WrestleMania 25 though?
Say that again?
Were you at WrestleMania 25?
I was on the floor.
Wow. I've heard that Shawn Michaels Undertaker match is one of the greatest of all time. That's incredible.
I will tell you this. It is my greatest. Yeah. It's the greatest live experience I've had. And I've sat ringside at some shows, a lot of Ring of Honor shows. And so those moments are up there. But like the match, the crowd, arguing with the people around me who was going to win between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. I was going for Shawn, and me and my cousin were going for Shawn. And it's crazy because him and I will always tell this story of this guy we sat next to, and we conversed with him after the show for about an hour. Don't know his name. We just referred to him as Boston because he was from Boston. He went to, and he kind of knocked us for how we were talking bad about the Undertaker. Like, and I was like, "Nah, dude. In all honesty, I'm a fan of the Undertaker. Like, I'm a fan of what he does." But in the moment, like, I was a Shawn Michaels fan all the way through. So yeah, that was that's Shawn Michaels versus the Undertaker is the greatest match I've seen live. If I hadn't been there, I don't know if it's what I would consider the greatest match of all time, but there are a lot of people who do consider it the greatest match of all time. So
yeah, for sure.
Let me jump back to the chat before we jump into these two matches we're going to talk about. David's comments in wrestling says, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I re-highlighted that. That was on accident. I promise." Hold on, let me jump back to this view. I feel like I'm a little glitchy right now, so let me jump back to this view just to make sure it works out. Hold on, gotta check the phone for one thing. Oh well, screw it. Okay, good. Baby boy's playing a video game, so I wanted to make sure my phone is not sharing the same Wi-Fi. Late 80s, mid 90s is the best time period for wrestling, in my opinion. Fantastic comics and arts. Howdy, listening while working. Fantastic. Back to Spine Tick's comments. Only familiar with 80s era. Green Machine says luchador wrestling has influenced the speed in the matches for sure. Yes, and we're going to discuss that a little bit because we are going to talk about Eddie versus Ray from Halloween Havoc 97. I agree with that. David's Comics and Wrestling gives night 1 a thumbs up, but night 2 a thumbs down. Spine Ticks, I'm good with that, huh? I'm a red meat eating testosterone filled male. Right on, right on. David says Fanboy Prime nailed it. There are no characters. When they have a chance to make a character a star, they fail at it. Geek Out with Roscoe was here or is possibly still here. Like I said, I'm behind on the chat, but Roscoe, fantastic, fantastic. Wellbore arrived safely on location. Well, that's what it's all about, Wellbore. I would certainly not want you to have any accidents because of listening to little old me. But shout out to Wellbore, my Canadian brother. He has given me dual citizenship. He has given me citizenship in Canada because of a few shows ago where I had to explain to Bottom Tier Collector that Bret Hart is speaking English, but it translates differently in Canada. Giving every winning sports team a customer WWE championship, custom WWE championship is basically whoring out the brand, pardon the language, but couldn't think of a different word. I think it's cool that they do that, but I think it's cooler when a sports team is not given the belt and they bring their own. And I think back to the 2005 Pistons. No, 2004 Pistons, right? Was it Rasheed Wallace carrying the big gold belt? Yes, I'm sorry, the 2004 Pistons. Yeah. There we go. Sorry. Spurs fans, so I have to remember the championships were 07, 05, and 03. But yes, when Rasheed Wallace would carry the big gold belt, I thought that was fantastic. I love that Pistons team. I think it was an honor to defeat them in the 05 finals, which is, and I'm not dissing. I'm just saying, like, that was like the matchup I wanted to see because it was two basketball teams. And I know maybe ratings-wise it wasn't great, but, like, I was all about that. The first 4 games of that series were terrible, if I remember correctly. There were blowouts. There were blowouts on both ends. And then game 5 was that, I think it went to overtime, but Robert Horry hitting big shots. Big shot Rob, right?
That's what he's known for.
Yes. He was a Spurs killer for a while there when he was playing with the Lakers also. I remember for sure the 03 series. It got scary when the Spurs beat the Lakers, but the 04 series I know was the Derek Fisher shot. So,
yeah.
Lady Prime 29, I will divorce you if you talk bad about The Undertaker. So you see how this relationship goes. Trev, the shipping guru in the chat. What's up, Fanboy Prime? What's up, Bottom Tier Collector? Fantastic. A lot of these are people saying hello to everybody. I'm going to skip down to Wellbores. Oops. WrestleMania 3, Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage was an epic match. All right, I'm going to ask you this, Bottom Tier. You've made it through 8 WrestleManias so far?
Yeah.
Would you say that's the best match of the eight you've seen?
It's so hard. Like, I love moments in that Steamboat Savage match, but I feel like Savage slowed the pace down too much for me, throwing Steamboat out of the ring too much. I just had so much momentum going, and he wants to slow it down, which is a heel move, and it works, but not for me.
So should I save it till we have a review of your 10 WrestleMania reviews where I ask what your favorite match was?
I think I've got 3 or 4 in mind. I really like Ted DiBiase and Jake the Snake from, is it 6 or 7? God, look at that match. Incredible.
That blows me away because it's not a featured match at that show. I mean, yeah, it kind of was because the $1 million belt was on the line, but that's an awesome pick. I'll say that. That's not one of the names. That's not one of the matches that is named, especially from those first 8 that is ever listed as the top match. So that's awesome. It's awesome that you picked that.
Yeah.
David says those custom belts were given to teams are basically business cards. The company logo right there in the center. That's why we may never get a new championship or a main design for the WWE title. Sorry, I keep misspeaking.
Am I misunderstanding, David? Is he talking about the turnover belts in college football?
No.
Oh, okay.
Usually, when a sports team wins a championship, they will be gifted a whatever the current belt is. They'll give them a version of that.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. Spy Ticks, go Lakers. Been a hometown fan all my life. I will say this: I do miss the Lakers-Spurs rivalry that took place there in the early 2000s. Fantastic. Lakers got ahead more on the Spurs than the Spurs got ahead on the Lakers, but the Spurs did send Phil Jackson home with a first-round sweep. What was that? 2011, 2012. So we had the last laugh. But the Lakers have won a championship since then, so I will say maybe the Lakers have had the last laugh. Well, bored. Love the '80s Lakers Sith. Definitely well bored. See that Magic Johnson card I posted? So yeah. David Comics and Wrestler says Owen versus Skinner is the GOAT match. From That's a WrestleMania 8 match right there. Dave Collects, yeah. Yo, happy Monday, you guys. I don't recognize that name, so fantastic. Glad to have you here, Dave Collects. If you've been in the live chat before, then and I missed you, I'm sorry. But if you're new here, man, I appreciate it. Bros of Bros, Sith. Well, Bore, subbing up. Those 90s, 2000 Spurs were dope. I was not a Spurs fan for the 99 championship, although I did root them on. I was more of a Rockets fan in the early 90s because I would go to Houston during my summers. So it was just natural for me to become a Houston Rockets fan. But then I moved to San Antonio and I was converted. And I think what helped was the Spurs getting eliminated to in the playoffs in 02 and then losing, 01 and 02, not winning the championship those years. Like, I got to grow with that team. And so that's kind of, living in the city, it's hard to not get sucked into the fandom. So fantastic. All right. Well, you got anything else you want to add before we jump into the meat of our 26 minutes in, and we're going to hit the topic that I've been trying to talk about for 3 weeks now.
It's standard bottom tier collector intro right there.
You always say you do the house cleaning at the end of the videos now, and I'm like, I need to do that.
Yeah, I'm forcing myself to do it because I want to do the 10-minute intro.
It's so hard, man. You just feel like you want to talk to your audience, and you only have them there at the beginning of your video, and it's like, do I want them to see this part or this part? Because like if you look at your how long they watch your video, it's so disheartening sometimes. You're like, yeah, it's 70 people watch this video and they only watch 30 seconds of it. Oh. So I hope it's repeat views and they're just watching 30 seconds at a time, a minute, 2 minutes at a time. But we'll see. Houston was fun to root for in the 90s. Yes, Manny, Spurs beat my Knicks, opened up a wound. Love that Knicks team. That Knicks team was fantastic. The first 8 seed to make it to the finals, and we are witnessing the second. Maybe you don't watch sports now. Do you have a finals prediction? It's tied up 1-1 right now. Heat have home court advantage right now. I'll say this. This is one of those finals where I'm okay with either team winning. Like, I won't hate it if either team wins.
I love championships like this where both teams are kind of the underdog. There's no clear favorite.
I would like Butler to get a ring. I think that would be fantastic if Jimmy Butler were to win a ring. But then on the other side, if Joker gets a ring, that's fantastic too. So it's just one of those series. And then I hadn't watched the game. I called in last night and I slept through it all. But one of those series that I would love to. I mean, I'm fine with either team winning, as if I get a say, right? Those Knicks teams were great, Manny. I'm a sports card collector. I love all the players and teams. Fantastic. All right, so first matchup, and this is what I've been trying to do for the past few weeks. Forgot that last week was Memorial Day. David and I, the week before, kind of talked about it, and then we said, well, let's do this, okay? So it was mentioned, I guess, offhand. I asked David, because he mentioned that Ray versus Eddie from Halloween Havoc 97, the next match we'll cover, was probably WCW's greatest match, or at least in the list of greatest matches. And I said, well, in that list, Diamond Dallas Page versus Goldberg from Halloween Havoc 98 has to be on that. He said, I don't know, because I don't know that I ever have. I don't know that I would ever have Goldberg in an all-time great match. So I am taking the stance that this is called good or great. There's a little whatever we're going to do. For this match, good or great. But the option of bad is on there. So before I give my opinion, bottom tier, would you care to comment on this match? Because you did message me that you watched it. So,
well, it's typical Goldberg. I couldn't tell if DDP was too pumped up and just came off as awkward, or if it was just standard Goldberg not selling very well. It's just the work in the ring is where it fell apart. But I feel like the hype was there. The crowd was into it.
All righty. Let me take you back to this view. Sorry, I'm highlighting Phil's comments. He said in the early '90s, I was in grade school. I tried to get into basketball. My dad took me to see a few Nets games when they were here in New Jersey, Buck Williams era. They were bad, but got to see MJ play. Fantastic. And then Russ joined the chat. Fantastic. Russ hitting those fitness goals, which is awesome. I think it was down to 236. So we'll go to my co-host, who's not here right now. His opinion is DDP versus Goldberg is a good match. What did you say it was? You said it was a good match?
I'll say it's a good match.
It's a good match. All right. Let me put all this forth, and I probably should have said it before we started commenting on it. Obviously, wrestling matches are going to be like comics or like anything, right? You are going to have your particular taste. What is your taste in a match? What do you want from a match? All that's going to determine, and no one is absolutely right or wrong, unless I say you are. But it's all going to be in your flavor. There's no reason to diss somebody because they think something is good, they think something is bad. Hey, man, it is what it is. Now, I will take into consideration a few things before we talk about this match. And this is going into my rating it a great match, because I am going to say it's a great match. It is the last match on the card. So I think its position on the pay-per-view event is important. It was the main event. What's something of note is if you watched it on Peacock and you notice the pay-per-views back then ran 3 hours. And if you notice while you were fast forwarding to that match, that pay-per-view went like 3 hours and 10 minutes, 3 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. The pay-per-view actually cut off during the feed of the Goldberg versus DDP match. You didn't get to watch it if you paid for the pay-per-view. So they showed it free the next night on Nitro. That Nitro is one of the last Nitros, or it may be the last Nitro. I don't think it is. I think it's one of the last Nitros that defeated Raw head-to-head in the ratings because of that match.
Oh, wow.
So it was one of the most watched matches ever, because we're talking about the height of the Monday Night Wars, talking about when wrestling was at its peak, perhaps even bigger than the 80s. So Nitro did defeat Raw that night. All right, so it's placed on the card. It's the main event. The crowd was behind it. You pointed that out, right? Okay.
Yeah.
In this same pay-per-view show, you have the rematch between Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. And that match is like all-time worst match ever. So the crowd was still alive enough to sit through that, which took place right before this match, if I'm not mistaken. So they were still alive. So the hype, like you said, was there. They wanted to see this match. The reason I say this is a great match is it's the Rocky story, Rocky 1 story, told in the form of wrestling. Here's DDP, and you have to be, and so this is where being a fan over a longer period of time is playing into my decision of this match, because DDP was this character who had to scratch from the bottom, and he was a manager originally, and then they started letting him be a wrestler, and then while he was a wrestler, they did some storyline where he lost all his money and he had to come back. He was homeless. He would just travel with the crew. He worked on the ring and stuff like that, but he worked his way back to becoming a major player. He was one of the first guys that was offered a spot in the NWO, and he turned it down. Real famous clip from a Nitro where he puts on the shirt, and he's with the Outsiders doing the NWO thing. Kevin Nash is off looking to the side, and he gives the diamond cutter to Hall. Crowd pops. Famous little clip there. And then you go through. DDP worked his way to that main event spot. He took on Macho Man in an all-timer of a feud. I would recommend those matches. And then he won it was a War Games match, and normally War Games was 2 teams. This time there was 3 teams. It was Team WCW, Team NWO, and Team NWO Wolfpack. DDP, or maybe it was Team NWO, Team Warrior, and Team WCW, something like that. I can't remember exactly how it broke down, but DDP won. He was going to have the opportunity to wrestle for the title. So to see his story come here to where he's facing the champion. On the opposite side is the Unstoppable Force, is the Apollo Creed, is Goldberg. And so I see what you're saying, that match is messy, and I don't mind that, because if it's a real fight, things aren't smooth and clear. And if it's a real sporting competition, things aren't going to be as fluid as choreography, right? And so there are a little bit of slip-ups. I don't mind it. And DDP seems to be in another gear. They start off with the collar and elbow tie-up, Goldberg throws him to the corner. DDP's right back out there because this is his shot, and he's got to give everything he can in this shot.
Yeah.
And so that whole match is DDP just barely hanging on, just barely hanging on, just barely hanging on until there's a spot where he's in the corner, and Goldberg's gonna run out to him with the shoulder, and DDP moves and he hits. And DDP moves and Goldberg hits the corner, hits the ring post, hits the metal with his shoulder, and that crowd just erupts because they were part of that story too. And so they knew that this is DDP's chance. There is a moment after that because he's hurt his shoulder. He can't perform his moves the same way, right? There's a moment where he kind of picks – it almost looks like it's supposed to be a hip toss, but it's like he carries DDP over with his whole arm.
Oh, yeah, they both fell out?
Yeah. No, not when they fall out. When they sit on the mat, when they're both out for a while. And the commentary team messed it up because they're like, Goldberg does that with one arm, the power. They missed where DDP transitions it into a DDT. So he knocks Goldberg down. And he's the first to his feet. And so, crowd is hanging on, Then Goldberg pops up. What I didn't like is he hits the spear right away. He didn't let there be build up, but it was fine because he hit the spear. And I can't remember. I just watched it. And I don't remember right now if DDP kicks out of the count for the spear. No. He doesn't because Goldberg's going to set up for the jackhammer. Can't get him up. Finally gets him up, but DDP, slides off his back, reverses it into the diamond cutter, and it's perfect. That crowd is on the edge of their seats.
Yeah.
The only issue I have is that Goldberg kicks out of the fall too quickly. And maybe that's the WWE fan in me now where they look at the ref, which I can't stand because I know they're going to kick out. But it's like 1, 2, he kicks out right away. He doesn't let the hand almost come down for that 3 count. But he's up right away. He gets the pin because he hits him in the jackhammer, defeats DDP. DDP gave it his all. And there's some backstory, too, that DDP is the reason why Goldberg got into wrestling. They played it all up. But it was, to me, classic Rocky story. It was victory and defeat because DDP showed that he could hang. DDP showed that he could be the main event. And that is why, after this 15-minute explanation, 10-minute explanation, why I think DDP versus Goldberg is a great match.
I like it. I think a lot of my issue with going back and retroactively watching wrestling is I don't have the context you and David seem to have.
And that's true. And that's true. And that's why, even if you lent somebody to relate it to comic book stories, this is a great storyline, and someone reads it, they won't catch all the backstory where little character moments might matter. And so that's a great point. That is a great point. And so you're basing it on in-ring work, which what are we qualifying it as? Are we just basing it on in-ring stuff, which, as you said, it's just a good match? I'm basing it on the whole pie, and it's a great match. So, like I said, there is no wrong opinion.
That's a fair argument.
All right, let me jump back to the chat before we jump into our next match. Everybody's saying hello to Russ. Okay, so David Comics and Wrestling says, nobody wants to see Goldberg try to do technical wrestling. Goldberg with arm bars? No. That did seem a little out of place, but I go back to this idea of this is Goldberg's first major pay-per-view where he's headlining it. This is his first big-time title defense. I think the only other pay-per-view title defense he made was against Mongo McMichael on the undercard. Thank you. Thank you. So to me, it was almost like Goldberg is respecting DDP, that he has to use this. But I got you, David. I hear you.
I was watching that and kind of thinking, which I have no context, but I was like, maybe Goldberg was cut out for the MMA and he just chose the wrestling route. He looked like an MMA guy.
That's what his gimmick was supposed to be. He was an MMA guy, Manny, going back to the Nets team with Kidd were also fun, but Pistons team was out of this world. Yes, the Pistons team that I believe at one point, or that they played together in the All-Star game, right? All 5 were All-Stars, and so I don't think one was a starter. Was it Tayshaun Prince wasn't the starter?
Probably.
But they put him into the game. Tayshaun Prince, though, all-timer for me. David says there was a spot where Goldberg hits his shoulder on the ring post, and DDP gets him back in the rings and starts kicking the wrong arm. Oh man, no, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I didn't connect those dots either.
Oh man, alive.
I feel like that's good continuity, but I missed that.
Yeah, I usually pay attention. I've noticed in times past where they work on the wrong leg. But man, alive, I missed that one, David. Trev says, yeah, Goldberg couldn't wrestle, but man, he was better than the Ultimate Warrior. I agree with that. I agree with that in certain respects because I do think he was fantastic. I think Goldberg had more in the ring. Character-wise, though, I'm all about the Ultimate Warrior. Like, he's just nuts. He's just nuts. Yeah. So he's a comic book character come to life, right?
Uh-huh.
David Comics and Wrestling says another spot where Goldberg catches DDP off the ropes with a spinebuster type move. DDP switches it into a DDP. Oh, see, this is what we're talking about. Switches it into a DDT, but the announcers call it like Goldberg hit the spinebuster with one arm. Laugh out loud. What? I agree. That's what I noticed too. So I was upset with the commentary team. Oh, I didn't even point this out. I don't know if you noticed it, but the sound of the ring in that match.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful. I loved it. I don't know. It just gave it some more realism. Little things. Manny with a question. Did Goldberg lose in non-televised matches? I remember sometimes wrestlers having win streaks, Booker T, but lose in non-televised matches. I think there was a loss before the streak started that was either a non-televised match or a televised match that is ignored. I will have to go back and look that up, Manny. I do know that his non-televised matches, though, I believe were padded. I believe they added some extra numbers.
There's a famous
non-televised. Go ahead.
There's a famous, and I reference this to friends all the time. I don't know when it happened in Goldberg's career, but William Regal could not stand Goldberg, and there's some famous match where he shoots on Goldberg the whole time. I don't remember if he lost or won, though.
Supposedly, they told Regal to make Goldberg have to fight for it. Supposedly, this is Regal's defense. So he does make him earn that victory, and then they proceeded to fire Regal because it made Goldberg look bad. So I don't know. I don't know, but there is some history there. Trev says, did he wrestle in non-televised matches at the time? I don't think so, Manny. I think he did on some of their bigger shows. I don't think he would have gone to some of their smaller ones. David says, I don't think so, Manny. And Goldberg's streak had more victories than matches than Goldberg actually wrestled in. I agree with that. The announcers hyped it more than the crowd from what I saw. I think the crowd, or are you talking about the streak? Laugh out loud. I always heard they padded Goldberg's win streak. That's what Russ says, which I agree. I believe they did. Manny says, oh, okay. I remember Booker T having a big win streak, but losing Benoit in non-televised matches. See, I will agree that happened. I think that's fully possible. Well, Boris says, I haven't watched wrestling for years, but my all-time favorite is Barry Horowitz, where he pats himself on the back. Barry Horowitz made a return to wrestling this year or late last year for Major League Wrestling, I think it was. Oh, no. It was TNA. It was TNA. I happened to catch an episode of TNA. I want to say it was earlier this year. He's still in fantastic shape for a human being, but in terrible shape for a wrestler, if that makes sense.
Chris Jericho.
Oh, man, Fat Jericho. Oh, it's so brutal. Manny says he was a big La Parka and Ultimo Dragon fan. I am a huge Ultimo Dragon fan. It breaks my heart.
La Parka. We played WCW NWO Revenge, and he's like, I want to play the skeleton guy.
That's right. You did tell me that. That's right. La Parka's funny because they would, he was the chairman of WCW, and he would play the chair like an electric guitar. Ultimo Dragon, it breaks my heart that he finally made it to WWF. He finally made it to a WrestleMania, and he slipped on his entrance on his cape because there was TVs on the floor, and I guess when he ran for his entrance, he slipped on his cape or slipped on the TVs, the glass, and fell during his entrance live. Now, I'm sure they've edited it out, but I can just remember seeing that live. And I was like, his career in WWF is over now. Trev says DDP is a big dude.
Yeah.
Back in the WCW days, I was a huge DDP fan, Super Russ says, and I agree. And so I kind of feel like that was DDP's moment. He should have won the title, but how could you take the belt off of Goldberg at that time? So Manny, I couldn't get into DDP. I swear he's one of the bikers from Terminator 2, but that's the whole beauty of DDP. He's not supposed to make it. He's supposed to be garbage. He's supposed to be trash. He's not supposed to be the guy that made it. And I think that played into his entrance when he used to come through the crowd. I mean, he was the first People's Champion.
Yeah.
I think BH only won once. Oh, Barry Horowitz. I had to think about that. I know he defeated Skip of the Bonnie Donnas. Goldberg had victims. Tayshaun had ice in his veins. Yeah, I agree, man. Tayshaun Prince was cold-blooded. Both of these matches did make me realize two things. Number one, I miss Mike Tenay announcing. And number two, Michael Buffer's ring announcing sucks. Oh, that did Michael Buffer. That's what made it real. Lady Prime is on lunch now, so she will possibly comment more. Manny says Michael Buffer is the most overpaid human being ever. Man alive, I dig the Buffer. David sees everything. He watches matches on slow mo 10 to 12 times. That's from Neil Collects. David says all the extra stuff Buffer throws into his announcing is unnecessary. DDP is a man known for overcoming all obstacles and never backing down from a challenge. Okay. All right, David. I could I could see. All right. Trev, haha, more wins than actual matches. That's hilarious. It's wrestling, man. It's wrestling. Phil Tastic says tickle the like button, please. I've never heard that before. That's fantastic. Super Russ says Regal was so good and very underrated. It's a shame they never made him world champion. I agree with that. Trev, 1 week the streak would be 13 wins. The next week it would bounce up to 30s. It's because he took independent bookings, so there's not even that many days in the week. No, he wrestled multiple matches on those shows. Lady Prime, stop talking about YTJ. He lives the gimmick of a rock star.
Fair enough.
David says DDP was also the driver of the Cadillac with Rhythm and Blues rode in at WrestleMania 6. Not sure if many of you, not sure how many of you in the chat knew that. So yes, I did know that. Did you catch that when you watched WrestleMania 6?
I didn't.
That is DDP's pink Cadillac.
Wow.
He's driving Rhythm and Blues to the ring. So yeah, it's fantastic.
When AWA used to have reruns on ESPN Classic, I would see like early DDP as a manager, but I didn't know he drove that Cadillac.
I think he was a manager in AWA and a commentator, I think. So he did everything before, like, I'm telling you, he did everything before he was in this main event of a pay-per-view. So, but once again, if you know the backstory, maybe it changes your feelings on that matches. But yeah, so cut back to DDP being at WrestleMania 6, driving the Cadillac. That is his first WrestleMania 6 appearance, his first WrestleMania as a wrestler. WrestleMania 18, back in the Toronto Skydome. So things come full circle. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And he had a match with Christian for the European title. It's actually a really, really good match. I would say it's a solid match. It's not one of those where is it good, great. It's solid.
They pair well.
I agree. All right. So next up, the year before this Goldberg and DDP match, Halloween Havoc 1997, Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. Peak Eddie Guerrero, by the way. Like, he is ripped. He is ripped for being a smaller wrestler. He is wearing my favorite tights that Eddie Guerrero wore, the black, gold, and red. Like, fantastic. Rey is... To me, this is peak Rey Mysterio, but he's not the size he will be later on in WWF because he's going to bulk up too much in WWE, and that's when the injuries are going to come. He's going to constantly have knee injuries because he's carrying too much weight. Here, yes, he's skinny, yes, he's scrawny, but it's part of the gimmick. This is why him flying around the ring it's amazing. This is peak Rey Mysterio. So let me jump to the chat real quick because Trev, the shipping guru, says that was an amazing match. And David Comics and Wrestling, Rey versus Eddie is a GOAT match. Oh, guys, 22 Comics is here. No, I'm kidding, 22. I'm kidding, 22. Two of my favorite guys. What's good people? 22 ran a fantastic stream yesterday talking about the CBCA nominations. I did end his stream by telling him that he did an okay stream and it was a C+ effort. But that just runs back to mine and 22's feud. But 22, great to have you here. Thanks for showing me love during your live stream when I showed up. I appreciate that, 22. And I did get a sub or two from joining that stream. I found a couple of new channels that I was not sub to. So fantastic stream, 22. Really appreciate it. Lady Prime says, yep, that's what's going to happen with Will Ospreay, however you spell it, gaining the weight. Okay, yeah. So Will Ospreay, I mean, he's probably your current top-tier high flyer nowadays, but he wants to be a heavyweight. I mean, he was even New Japan's heavyweight champion. And so we'll see what happens with him putting the bulk on. You know, it's some frames are not meant to hold all that weight.
I follow Cultaholics Wrestling. You probably follow them too. And I just saw a video about them covering Ospreay and Seth Rollins going back and forth on Twitter. Maybe they'll have a match.
22 says, 22 is here. What kind of garbage is this? Is he talking about my chat or just me? Oh no, he's talking about my intro for him. Do you want to say anything to 22, bottom tier? I'm giving you the opportunity to say something specific.
Roll Tide.
I love it. I love it. I love it. David says, I watched it before this and never caught that the mask Ray wore was purposely attached to the Phantom bodysuit because Eddie ripped Ray's mask off on a previous Nitro. That is great storytelling. That is true. They mentioned it during the commentary.
That was a great little history on Lucha Wrestling and how the mask means so much to the wrestlers. The commentary was great during that match.
All right, Russ is heading out. Peace out, Russ. Have a fantastic one. David said Ospreay is overrated. Who is more overrated, Ospreay or Omega? I like both guys. I like both guys. David comments in wrestling. What's that?
The best bout machine. Come on.
David Comics and Wrestling is the Jim Cornette of the Monday Headlock. So 22 says, Roll Tide, what kind of show is this now? I am outraged. But he did also throw a War Eagle, so. I mean, yeah, bottom tier collector. I heard that this morning. I don't know what she's referencing.
Probably that Seth Rollins, Ospreay back and forth on Twitter.
There we go. There we go. There you go. Yeah. I would like to see those guys wrestle too, by the way.
Yeah.
David Comics and Wrestling says, Tanay was giving an education during the Ray versus Eddie match. All right. So before I jump to bottom tier collector giving his thoughts on it, or do you want me to go first this time?
You can go first.
Okay. All right. I do want to make a mention of the commentary team because this was a 4-man commentary booth.
Wow.
And I know I thought about that. I said, man alive, that's a lot of individuals on commentary. So Mike Tenay is like all-time commentator. I think the world of Mike Tenay. I think the world of Tony Schiavone. Of course, I think the world of the Brain, and I think the world of Dusty Rhodes. But 4 commentators, it just seems like it's overkill. I don't think they messed up too bad and ran over each other's points. I think Dusty kind of kept it. He played it safe where he just chimed in here or there, which anytime Dusty talks, it's gold. And of course, Bobby's going to be your heel commentator. I think maybe they could have had Tony Schiavone sit out. But Tony Schiavone's like, he gets lost in that match, and you could tell that he's enjoying what he's seeing. Like, oh, and so a 4-man commentary booth. It's something to mention. Just kind of insane that there's that many guys there. They didn't do too bad being 4 commentators, but yes, Mike Tenay, the Professor Mike Tenay, dude, just laying it down. It was great. Do you want me to highlight myself and go to the big screen, or you find like this? Because that's what I did.
I'm fine. It doesn't matter to me.
So this is a match that I wasn't sure about because I had seen this match years ago, and it was told to me how great this match was. When I watched it that first time initially years ago, I think I watched it on Rey Mysterio's Greatest Hits matches or something like that. And I wasn't sold on it. I was like, it's good. It's good. Like, I mean, it's got everything you want. It's got the high flyers and everything. Watching it now, I have a different perspective on it. It's the third match on the card. I think I should mention that too. It's the third match on the card. The two previous matches are cruiserweight matches. One of them involved, I think it's Jericho versus Gato, who's real big in New Japan Wrestling now, but he was like a no-name to the American crowd at that point. So the point I'm trying to make is those first two matches, the crowd is not necessarily into it. The crowd is into it for this match. And the crowd gets louder and louder and louder. So Ray and Eddie did their job. I will go ahead and say this match is now GOAT territory. It is a great match. I don't even have many issues with it. There is some sloppy parts, but once again, I don't have an issue with that because it's when you choreograph it too much, which I think the Bulldog Owen Hart match from '97, which David Comics and Wrestling is gonna hate me for this. I think it's a little over choreographed. I love that match. This match, of course, it's going to have some choreography in it. It's high flyers. It's Ray doing his thing. He's going to have to jump on two different ropes before Eddie lets him hit the move or whatever. But it's just good. It's what a match of this style should be, where Eddie's not going to be doing all the flying around because he is the stronger guy. So now he's going to rely on his power moves where he might do more high flying later on. He doesn't have to do that in this match. This is Ray's time to shine like that. So, yes, Eddie versus Ray, Halloween Havoc 97, great match.
Oh, yeah. And then something I've learned recently watching like Jerry Lynn and RVD and ECW is this term chain wrestling. And there's so much chain wrestling going on. And Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. And it's something that called back to, believe it or not, a Nasty Boy from like WrestleMania 6. I think Eddie's got Ray in what looks like an abdominal stretch and then like twists him into a power slam. And I just love seeing stuff like that. It was incredible.
Chain wrestling. I became a huge fan of chain wrestling when we would go to the Ring of Honor shows. And I would tell Lady Prime, like, I love watching Roderick Strong wrestle because I feel like he is the best chain wrestler I've ever seen. There would be they were called The Addiction, I think. It was Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian would team up. And I thought they were the best tag team wrestlers because they would go into chain wrestling, into tagging. I love the way they worked. And so I have an appreciation for tag wrestling. So, yes, I do like – I'm sorry, for chain wrestling. So I when you pointed that out, I was like, oh, he's right. That's good stuff. One thing I should point out about this match is Eddie's backbreakers on Rey Mysterio. Oh, man alive. There's one in particular where Ray comes out of a flip. It doesn't look clean. It looks sloppy, but it also looks so dangerous because how do you protect yourself on a flip? And how do you time to protect Ray? It's a good one, but there's one in particular where it's like the backbreaker from hell. Like it was beautiful. It was so good. It was so good. Let me jump to the chat just to see if David had commented on this match. Tanae was giving an education during the Ray versus Eddie match. Yes. And I'll jump back to the other comments. I'm just trying to see what David might have said. David said, I wish I could go back to when WCW was on and enjoy Eddie Guerrero. I found him biting in WCW. You didn't enjoy Eddie? I loved Eddie. I loved Eddie before he was a star.
Yeah, same.
Okay, David says, Eddie cutting Ray off every time he is going is fire. Yeah, I mean, that's what you would do, right? And then he also says the catch into a backbreaker. Yeah, that was good. Yes. So fantastic. I don't think this is one of those matches where there's much of a debate. Oh, here we go. What? Son of a... Okay, I thought you were saying boring, but I didn't know if you were trying to say something else. So he found Eddie boring in WCW. And I could see that early on because they really never gave him some character. But right here in 97, it's like perfect Eddie. Like he is classic heel. Oh man, I wish I could have my cousin on here or I could record my cousin because he used to always sing Eddie Guerrero's theme. Dum, 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 and then the trumpets coming on in the background. He used to sing that all the time. Like he's got great music too. I thought Eddie Ray, if you watched it on Peacock, because I know you watch it on YouTube, they don't have the entrance themes, but if you watch it on Peacock, they even have Ray's classic theme, which I liked. So good themes. But yeah, Eddie, like, oh man, such a good heel at this point.
Yeah.
Well, that one was easy. No debate. So,
Oh yeah.
Goldberg, DDP, good match from Bottom Tier, good match from David, great match from me. And I think it's a unanimous, even Trev jumping in with the Ray versus Eddie is a great match. So yeah, fantastic. That was an easy one. But I will say this, I am converted to the great because I was on the it's a good match. And when I say I was on the it's a good match, it was more like, it's a good match. But now I'm like, okay, yeah, it's an all-timer. It's an all-timer for sure.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. Great first impression for me.
Oh, so that was the first time you saw it?
Yeah. I was like, holy moly.
Was that the first time you saw the DDP and Goldberg match?
Yeah, and I remember being a kid hearing about that. Oh, the United States heavyweight champion is going to fight the world heavyweight champion. All this build-up, and I never got to see it.
Gotcha. Well, man, that's fantastic. That was the first time you saw Ray and Eddie. That's awesome. On a note on Ray and Eddie, so this is 97. In 2005, they would have a great feud in WWE, WWF. Would begin. They were tag team champions, having a match together at WrestleMania 21. They would open the show. It's one of the best opening matches of all time. Cut to SummerSlam Cut to SummerSlam of 2005. They're now having a ladder match for custody of Dominic Mysterio, because he was Eddie's son. And so yeah, just just how those two are linked together. But the absurdity of a custody match where you have to get the papers from the top, you have to climb the ladder to get the custody papers is fantastic. The absurdity of wrestling, I love it.
And then they did a whole feud with Dominic and Ray to reference that at WrestleMania 39.
Yes. Things come full circle. I love it. I'm going to highlight Lady Prime's comment first before Neil's. Lady Prime says, laugh out loud. Sorry, Neil. My condolences to your dream girl. And the reason that is because an update fanboy sent me an image of Alexa Bliss being pregnant. But apparently Lady Prime told him to shatter my dreams, and that's exactly how it happened. Lady Prime, are you going to tell Neil that Alexa Bliss is pregnant, is going to have a baby? And I was like, maybe you should. But I went ahead and did it. So he's enjoying what he's seeing. Wish I could say the same. Maybe if I had a better intro, laugh out loud. Just kidding. Man alive. Me and 22, man. We go way back. And by way back, I mean a few weeks ago when we have this feud. Neil says you're not sorry, Lady Prime.
It's about time for me to head to work, so I'm going to head out. I'm going to watch the chat, though.
What's that?
I'm going to watch the chat, but I got to get ready for work.
Well, I was about to say, I saw the time, and I was about to say that I was trying to wrap it up if we could hit that match. But, yes, fantastic having you here, Bottom Tier Collector. Guys, if you are not subbed to Bottom Tier Collector, go check out his content. Continue to add views to his video that is on the Fourth World. Is that what it is?
No, it's the one where I removed the cover from the comic book.
Where the seller commits the ultimate crime or whatever it was.
Oh, my God. I'm sitting there throwing so much shade, which, full disclosure, it's all in fun. I don't care how people collect or treat their comics, but I'm throwing so much shade at people that don't like to barehand their comics. I pulled the rest of the fibers that were holding it to the staple off the comic book. So now my New Gods 1 is cover detached.
and that's how many views did you get on that video?
I think it's up to 759 last I checked.
Yeah, so keep watching that video. Keep watching him rip the cover off this comic book that he messaged me when he bought, because he's like, I don't buy a lot of high-priced books, but I got this one at a good deal or whatever it was. I remember you sending me the message, and it's fantastic to see you destroy this book. So
yeah, I was like, I'm going to own this. I deserve to upload it.
Well, Bottom Tier, I appreciate you jumping in on the stream today. It's fantastic finally putting this together. Yeah. And I wanted to do this for sure before you kind of disappear from YouTube for a while. I know you mentioned that. You've got a little one on the way. But hopefully we'll still be able to get you on live streams where you won't have to spend time making a video, but you can still appear here. But we'll see how that goes. Obviously, that's
Yeah.
going to depend on what kind of little one you have. There's those good ones who just go to sleep all the time, and then you have some like Ollie who would not fall asleep in Lady Prime's arm. He only fell asleep in my arm after I came home from working all night. Yeah, it was a brutal period. I will say that. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you jumping on, dude.
All right. See you.
Have a good one. Now that he's gone, I can talk bad about him. Just kidding. That was awesome having Bottom Tier here. Appreciate him jumping in. Fantastic, fantastic. Neil collects. You're not sorry, Lady Prime. That might be true. Manny says, whatever happened to Joey Styles? I really got into ECW and enjoyed his over-the-top but descriptive commentary. I was not a Joey Styles fan, and I think that's because he had no one to play off to in his commentary. But there are a lot of Joey Styles fans out there. Let me lower this. I'm covering up my own face. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even highlight that I'm wearing one of Lady Prime's shirts, which is technically my shirt, but she hijacked for her collection. It is the Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart from the Survivor Series 97. I am not sure what happened to Joey Styles. He was working for the WWE website for a while there, but I'm not sure what he does anymore. Yeah, I am, because it should have been you, Neil. Oh, Lady Prime, giving Neil some props that it should have been his baby with Alexa Bliss. Oh, okay, this is when I didn't catch what David was talking about. He was making coffee, and the reason he was making coffee is because I might have been putting them to sleep with this stream. Going back to the commentary, is anything better than when a match pops Heenan? No, there's not. I love Heenan on commentary. It's so great. And yes, I agree, David. I dislike that they try to recreate that match, but of course you couldn't capture the same magic. Which match is that? The first Eddie Ray match? Maybe that's what she's talking about. Eddie should have punched Dominique. That would have been great. In all realness, today has been a rough day at work, and y'all have brought a great smile to my face. Well, I'm sorry about that, 22, and I'm sorry that it took me so long to get to this comment. I hope the rest of your day goes better. I hate those kind of days, so hopefully it turns better. Hopefully it gets better. Alexa, Camilla, and Ty Conti are all pregnant right now. Just to give Neil the update in case he wants to go turn to another wrestler. Great stream. Glad I caught it. Thank you, Spine Ticks. I appreciate it, man. That love is awesome. And so I will, once again, make an effort to continue to try to jump. And I keep calling you Spine Ticks, but it's Sith Lordly. I will continue to make an effort to try to be there on Saturday night. Like I said, my work schedule is that I work overnight. So a lot of times when everybody else is up, I'm asleep. So, but yes, dude, I would love to continue to go to those streams. It's a fantastic show. Fantastic stream. Just watch Bottom Tier Collector's worst mailer video today. So you know exactly what we're talking about. I'm glad he posted that. And I've done the videos where I mess up and I don't post it. Maybe I should have the the cojones to go ahead and do that. Well, board, great show in chat. Appreciate this, guys. I'm always uncertain how the wrestling streams are going to go because most of my fan base is a comic book community. So, but I'm appreciative of you guys being here. And if you don't know what's going on, I at least appreciate you guys enjoying the banter that can happen between me and Lady Prime when she's here, or me and David, me and Bottom Tier, or just the banter that goes on with the chat, man. I truly appreciate it, dude. Thank you, guys. I won't allow Bottom Tier Collector to disappear. Good. I don't want him disappearing from the community, but I get it. I get it. Having a new little one in the family, there's going to be some adjustment period, but yeah. Hey, 22, I really don't plan to go away, just not sure of my availability. And I get it, kind of just putting that out there. Ventura getting Monsoon triggered is my favorite commentary. Heenan, fantastic, though. So I do like when Heenan gets Monsoon triggered. I think WrestleMania 8. It's great commentary there. And then when Monsoon is triggering Heenan after Flair loses the title. There we go. Heenan triggering Monsoon is even better than him triggering Ventura. Spine Ticks is usually where the entire community goes to unload on a Saturday night. That's true. Sid says, I appreciate that, Bottom Tier Collector, and good to see you around. Again, fantastic. I enjoy the hangout. Yes. 22 comments. I have no idea what's going on. I'm here for the laughs and the giggles and to make Fanboy laugh. Ollie James, take off the headphones. Mom wants to see you. Where is baby Ollie James? He was playing, what is this game called? Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. Yeah, so I put the Xbox in the living room, trying to get him to stream it, but he didn't want to. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
What are you doing today? Not getting dressed. You're still wearing what you wore last night to sleep in, even though you're outgrowing it. Why are you covering your face?
Just tired.
Just tired? Just tired? Just tired? He did brush his teeth, but we need to go make a lunch now. In fact, that's why I'm going to end this stream. I need to go make baby boy some lunch. And appreciate it, guys. You guys have been fantastic, fantastic. But there's your baby boy, Lady Prime. David, Comics and Wrestling, will you please stop? Will you please stop? Gorilla Monsoon, yes, fantastic. Ollie, look, the chat is shouting you out. Ollie, Ollie, Ollie from Bottom Tier Collector. Ollie from David Comics and Wrestling. Wellbore says, hey, Ollie, with the thumbs up. Neil Collect says, Ollie, your dad needs to let you play Fortnite. When can you play, Neil? Because Ollie is dying to play Fortnite. 22 Comics says, what's up, Ollie? Who are Ollie's favorite characters? Hold on, Ollie, come here. Philtastic Comics and Arts wants to know who your favorite characters are.
What?
Comics. Look at the camera. Who's your favorite character? Ooh,
Rhino.
Rhino, okay. You got a pretty good Rhino toy. Who else?
Zemnu.
Zemnu. Oh yeah, that's true.
That Minotaur was Zemnu.
You don't even know who that is. Can I tell him that Hulk and Thing are your favorite characters? He loves Hulk.
Oh, and Abomination.
He loves Hulk. He loves Thing. He loves Abomination. He wants your big, bulky guys. If it's a Build-A-Figure in the Marvel Legends, that's his favorite. So he likes Hulk, Red Hulk, Thing, Rhino, Zemnu, Abomination. So he wants the big guys.
Sasquatch.
The Wendigo. There you go. Yeah. Philtastic asked Lady Prime how her studying was going. And Lady Prime says, studying still. I retest this Friday. Yeah, so we'll be able to go out of town. I'll be able to hit up an LCS that I haven't been to in a couple weeks. So that'll be fun. And then probably go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 after that. Phil says, good luck. I'm studying like mad, hoping to take the test at the end of summer. Good luck with that, Phil. She'll read some of the stuff to me, and it's crazy. It's crazy just how in depth the wording can be. So it's almost every match with Heenan and Gorilla commentary, bottom tier. Like that's true. That's true. But especially during the era when Ric Flair was the world's champion, and he's there with Heenan and Monsoon, it's great. And alrighty. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate y'all jumping on this stream. I've been running a little longer on Mondays, but I'm gonna end it early. I've got to get Ollie fed, and I do need to try to get myself some sleep. I did call into work last night. The ear is still giving me a little issues, but it's not as bad as it was last night. But I can't really hear from this side. And if you guys have noticed, losing my voice a little bit. So we'll see. I had failed to take my allergy pills like I'm supposed to daily, and so I've got to get back on that. But thank you guys. Thank you all. I appreciate it. My plan was to announce 2 more matches that we will talk about next time, but I didn't do that. So either I'll announce it throughout the week or something, or we'll just have a hangout next Monday. But thank you all. I appreciate it. And as always, I want to let Ollie James send you out.
Video. Say thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Bye.
Say
Bye. See you next time.